What's up, everyone? Peti Kish Hun here, coming with you with another video. Today we're gonna do something different than I usually do. We're gonna do a comparison video of two big tech gaming journalist companies going head to head about this topic here, which is they had their hands on preview a little bit of the new Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater / Delta, whatever, remake that's coming out very, very soon. But they pretty much summed up how they feel about it, what their thoughts about the whole thing is. And I wanted to look into this because the gaming journalists recently, a couple of years now, have been kind of getting bad to the point where it's very distrustful. It doesn't feel like it's very honest. It just feels like they're getting paid off by other corporate businesses to tell only the positive, not the negative about some things. But also, just takes in general. The takes are horrible for some of these. They don't feel like what they used to be. They felt very genuine and review-wise and everything else, the showings. And now it became very corporate. And to the point where you don't know who to trust no more, especially when you're watching these companies like what we're going to be watching, IGN and GameSpot. You know, both of them, they're not good at all. They have one of the worst records recently. GameSpot, a little bit better, I would say, but they're still, I wouldn't call them any good either. IGN is actually the worst, I think, from a lot of them. IGN used to be top dog, but now they're just horrible. Yeah, journalism for these are completely drying out because the YouTuber or wherever you're watching, the independent content creator, most of the time truthful. There are a lot of shills out there, of course, that will get paid off companies to say what they want them to say. But most people that do reviews and are honest and want to be honest, they'll get the respect they need, or they'll understand what gamers want or anything else about these situations. But let's just start this out real quick. I would love it if you guys could like, share, sub, follow if you can. If you enjoy these kind of videos, I have more of these on this channel if you are interested. All right, let's get into this video. We're going to start with GameSpot. It says Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake stays true to the original. Let's check this out.
In 2016, Konami released a pachinko machine based on Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater that featured remakes of the game's iconic cutscenes. For serious fans that had been hoping for full remakes of the classics, especially in a post-Kojima Konami, this amounted to a gut punch. It was the slightest hint of what a modern take on Snake Eater could look like, but to see it, you'd have to be seated in a pachinko parlor instead of getting the lengthy, cinematic Metal Gear Solid experience we had come to expect. 8 years later, the dream of a...
Very true. I remember seeing those pachinko machines of 3, and I really wanted that. Like, that's what a remake one is pretty much supposed to be. It's a one-to-one, recreated in the design, but everything's supposed to be one-to-one. I think that's what pretty much a remake is, right? A remaster is just an upscaled look better. But a remake, like I said, it's built from the ground up, but it's the same game. You're just remaking it, making it better graphics, better gameplay, you know, movement-wise, control-wise, all that. Maybe better UI, all that stuff. Just stuff that improves it, you know, make it a bit better, but not change story-wise, never changed. If it's changed, then it's a reimagining. If it has censorship, I would even count that as also not a remake, maybe a reimagining, because if something is cut out of the game, then it's not really a remake, in my opinion, or a remaster, because I know people are saying, oh, this is a remaster because it's one-to-one truthful. No, it's a remake because they built it ground up. Shadow of Colossus, that was a remake when it came out on PS4. They had Medieval on PS4. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, that also is the remake. You could say it's a remaster. It's not. It's a remake. It's built from the ground up. Resident Evil 1, It's a remake from the GameCube. There's a lot here that what makes a remake a remake. If they change the story, that's when you call it a reimagining. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake. That is not a remake. That is actually horrible advertisement. It's a reimagining. It's changing up the story. The beats are a little bit different. Yes, it has a lot of similar plot elements, but it's changing it still up. It's putting a new spin on it. So I would say it's between like a reimagine and a remake. They did build it from the ground up, Final Fantasy VII Remake, but they put their own spin on it, which makes it a reimagining. Just wanted to point it out there. Let's continue.
A proper remake is being realized with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Announced via a 2023 PlayStation showcase, questions immediately arose about what we could expect from this update.
So hype.
Kojima has long been absent from anything.
I remember that. That was hype. And Kojima did not make this, so we'll see how it goes.
Metal Gear, and his signature style of storytelling and game direction is perhaps the series' defining feature. This first glimpse lacked the humor, flavor, and Kojima factor the fans expected from Metal Gear Solid trailers. Was Delta destined to be a soulless corporate remake of the 2004 classic?
That's really good. That's a good intro to a video. Is it a corporate? Is this a soulless corporate remake? That is really good. I like that. Good intro. That was good.
Entire virtuous mission, essentially the game's prologue, at a recent Konami event in London, I'm happy to report that all signs point to Delta being the Snake Eater remake that fans have wanted for years. Unlike the polarizing Twin Snakes remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, which featured fully re-recorded VO and an egregious amount of artistic license, Delta seems far more interested in preserving.
Yes, he's talking about Twin Snakes. This guy knows his shit. He knows. He knows. For sure.
And updating your memories of Snake Eater rather than presenting its own dramatically altered version of it. Despite Hideo Kojima's messy divorce from Konami, Delta doesn't shy away from his name and direction. His credit appears numerous times before Naked Snake completes the world's first Halo jump. Yoji Shinkawa's character art shows up in character vignettes and establishing cutscenes. It's clear from the opening minutes that there is a reverence for the original work that hasn't been evident in other post-Kojima projects like the baffling Metal Gear Survive and the Bare Bones Master Collection. Every cutscene feels indiscernible from the original games, barring the...
There you go, Bare Bones Master Collection. Even he knows that collection wasn't perfect. It was a rehash. It was a port of the old one from PS3, and the PS3 version still runs better.
Dramatically improved visuals and the occasional stock footage that has been replaced for copyright reasons. Even little details like holding R1 to look through Snake's eyes are perfectly replicated down to the timing of the button prompts. Once you gain control of Snake, which takes a while, this is a Metal Gear game after all, numerous welcome gameplay updates become apparent. The older MGS games always had inventory and weapon selection relegated to the trigger buttons, but by utilizing left and right on the D-pad, Delta's modernized controls share more in common with Metal Gear Solid 5. A handy update allows you to swap your camo on the fly by holding up on the D-pad to quickly access the camo menu.
Perfect.
Holding down, meanwhile, gives you quick access to your codec contacts. Your health, stamina, and camo index are now displayed in the lower middle of the screen rather than the upper corners.
Heck yeah.
One of the touted gameplay features of the original game was its CQC, Close Quarters Combat System. It allowed for a lot more than just snapping the necks of guards. You could interrogate them, slit their throats, toss them to the ground, or use them as a human shield. While it allowed for more variety, it was easy to perform unintended actions thanks to its specific required inputs and utilization of the PS2's pressure-sensitive face buttons. You'll no longer need to whip out a manual, do a Google search, or call the boss to remind you of the basics of CQC, thanks to Delta's useful tooltip system.
So it's like, it simplifies it enough where it doesn't hurt the game at all. It just makes it a bit, I hate it when you're in like an intense battle in Snake Eater, and then you have to switch through your inventory and get your food and, like different things you have to do to customize. Like, this is just, it's more fast paced, which is fine with me. This is a good update, I think.
With modern action games avoiding frequent load times, it's natural to wonder if Delta's gameplay zones would remain cordoned off into their own sections or if they'd be stitched together into a larger contiguous world. As is the case with most aspects of this remake, the developers have chosen to remain true to the flow of the original. You won't encounter any real load times when moving between areas, but the screen still fades to black and comes back in displaying the name of the new area just like in the original. This adherence to the experience of the original applies to most aspects of the gameplay. It's not like this is suddenly Breath of the Wild and Snake can climb every tree and scale rock faces. He's still limited to climbing the same ivy.
Yes, that's great. You know why? Because it's a faithful remake. It's a remake, just changed up a bit, you know? It's not gonna be crazy. This is what a remake's supposed to be like.
Covered trees that were there in 2004. Personality has not been sacrificed in the pursuit of realism. Giant anacondas will still become neatly packaged in to-go boxes upon their death. Guards flail and sprint away like cartoon characters when you shoot down a beehive in their vicinity. You'll still be alerted that you've created the time paradox when you die. Naked Snake still dons a Raiden mask if you select I like MGS2 at the outset of your mission. I was not greeted with an old Snake mask when I selected I like MGS4, however, so it remains to be seen what the other game selections do. One of my few complaints about the original game was the cumbersome survival viewer and curing system. When Snake took damage, you'd frequently have to go into a menu to perform a series of actions to repair his various wounds. There's a world where this could have been cool. After all, Rambo was pretty badass when he cauterized his wound by packing it with gunpowder and lighting it.
Oh, shit.
In this case, selecting numerous styptics and suture kits from a menu wasn't exactly an immersive experience. It remains to be seen if this system will be as intrusive in Delta, as it isn't introduced until just after the Virtuous mission in the original game. That said, I did see a grayed out cure option in the survival viewer menu, so it's likely back in some form. In terms of truly
Okay, so it's kind of back, but not? Okay, I don't know about that. It was definitely a cool concept, but I didn't like always go into the menu, pausing the game if it's something intense happened and this and that. But I guess it's a bit better. They're kind of making it a bit easier, I would say.
Content, I did discover a bit during my 90 minutes with the game. Snake's initial bag of gear grants you a compass that presents cardinal directions as well as an objective indicator in the lower left corner of the screen. Rolling is given its own dedicated button, triangle, and you can now dive to the ground from a standing position. On top of the returning hidden frogs, I encountered one camouflaged duck toy. It was draped in what appeared to be a ghillie suit, and it went up in flames when I shot it, and it caused the duck to start hopping and quacking. It's unclear at this point what this accomplishes or if they're just a bonus collectible. Of course, the most obvious upgrade is the visual presentation, and Delta does not disappoint in this area. The lush jungle features far more detail than before, with additional ambient wildlife and tons of little details like Snake trudging through the mud and leaving a distinct trail. As Snake takes damage over time, it will be permanently reflected on his body and clothing during gameplay and cutscenes. All of the characters look fantastic and true to the original designs. Volgan's scars are deep and detailed, the N's eye pop is unsettling, and the Sara's blood rain is much more pronounced. My demo was locked to a 30 frames per second fidelity mode, but the final release promises a 60 frames per second.
Okay, that sucks. He only played 30 frames, but he would play 60 instead. But like the stuff he's talking about is straight up just pure gameplay, talking about what he just saw.
Performance option. On the remake spectrum, Delta's ambitions fall somewhere between the enhanced visuals and quality of life upgrades of The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD, and the substantial Resident Evil reimaginings in recent years. It certainly isn't attempting to change things up as much as the newer Final Fantasy VII titles. This is a relatively straightforward, modernized remake of the original, which is in no way a complaint. Snake Eater has such a distinct personality that to make too many tweaks would risk losing much of what made it special. Delta's dev team is walking a tightrope with such a beloved title, and everything I saw during my return to the Virtuous mission has me confident that they're handling this with a deft hand.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And there you go. That's all you needed to hear at the end. It's so truthful and faithful. It's not touched like Final Fantasy VII. It's like the Resident Evils, or, you know, it's so close to what it is. It's not going to be changed. Through this whole thing, Konami never mentioned modern audience in this game, or the developer. None of them did. But they keep on mentioning modern audience in the Silent Hill 2 remake constantly. Very interesting, very good. I hope this guy reviews the game because he knows his shit. He knows about it. Let's see some of these comments. This guy that previewed this actually knows what he is talking about. He should be the one that reviews the game when it comes out. Potential remaking the original Metal Gear 2. If this one does good, I agree. I definitely want to see our Metal Gear Solid 1. I really do. That would be awesome. Better than IGN complaining that the remake was remake. Why review? They uploaded the same time as this. Yeah, we're going to get into the IGN one. It's pretty bad. IGN is complaining that this is so faithful that they don't want this. They want a modernized version. It's so retarded, guys. I can't make this shit up. This sort of coverage of games is lost art. This preview is precise, informative, unbiased. Yeah, it really is. This is actually reporting on a game before it comes out. Yeah, so this guy's right too. Yeah, this is what reviews used to be. This is what hands-on previews used to be. They didn't add any stupid political bullshit where it's like, wow, there's not enough females in the game. There's not enough representation in the game. I don't know how I feel about this game. Dude, it's a one-to-one remake. What else do you want? Some of these journalists are clueless, and some of them are just pure activists. This woke mob that don't even play games, absolutely don't care about games whatsoever. And here we go. Now we're on IGN. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater hands-on preview. So we're gonna watch this IGN one.
Name for this mission.
And it's not gonna be too good.
Your code name for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on.
Few games
Damn, that part was so badass.
truly deserve the remake treatment as much as Metal Gear Solid 3.
To be honest, it really doesn't need a remake. This game still holds up. It's just, it needs tweaking. That's it. Just minor tweaking in a graphic update. That's it. Everything is the same. Could be a complaint for later. I'm not sure. I'm just, speculating. When I saw the boss, when they had that first trailer, she kind of looked weird in that angle. It could have been just the lighting. I wasn't like a big fan of how the boss design looked. Everyone else looked fine so far. I wonder if they're gonna keep, Eva with her zip down, and you see her, her abdomen and her bra, the chest area. I wonder if they're gonna keep that, because I know modern audience can't take that. It's too sensitive for that kind of aspect. I don't know. I hope they keep it, because if they keep it and it's true what they're saying, 1-to-1, they got a W right here of a game. That's a W game, and that's a pre-order from me.
Arguably the best stealth action game of its generation, back in 2004 it pushed the PlayStation 2 to its very limits, so much so that the hardware occasionally weighed down its ambitions. 20 years later, a complete remake from Konami using the power of modern consoles has the potential to unlock the full, uncompromised vision of the game's original creators.
PC2, just saying.
This new Kojima-less Metal Gear Solid Delta seems more like a very shiny HD remaster than the elegant remake it could have been. It's an admittedly beautiful nostalgia trip, but almost faithful to a fault.
What did he just say?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Fuck.
It's so faithful, but it could have been more than just a faithful remake. What the f talking about? This is what I'm talking about. This intro compared to the GameSpot one we just saw, the differences are all there from just what you just heard. Let's hear about their bad take.
But if this slice is anything to go by, any gameplay changes are minimal. Delta appears to be a painstaking recreation of Metal Gear Solid 3 down to the millimeter.
Painstaking recreation. These guys don't know what they're talking about, I swear.
Trees stand exactly where they originally stood, the same enemies patrol the same routes, and frustratingly frequent load screens once again divide the jungle into small, self-contained maps.
Good, and good. Oh my gosh, why would you complain about this? Why?
This structure, perfectly preserved from the 2004 original, makes Metal Gear Solid Delta feel so much older than its new high-definition visuals. The jungle is small and claustrophobic, not because of its imposing canopy, but because of its limited play spaces. The loading screens act as hard barriers, meaning what happens in one zone doesn't impact another. Alerted guards can't chase you into a different map, for instance. This lack of continuity between each segment limits your creativity. There's seemingly no way to cause distractions that fool enemies into investigating beyond a loading screen boundary, or line up a perfect shot across the stitching between zones. All of this, of course, was not just forgivable back in 2004, but expected. The PS2 simply...
Oh my god, this guy's like, it should have been Metal Gear Solid 5. Open world. That's not gonna happen. This game would take longer to make. They're trying to be so faithful. They don't want to change anything and want to see if there's people that want these kind of games, these faithful remakes. because they saw a lot of positive feedback from the Resident Evil remakes and a bunch of other places that done remakes. But when you do an unfaithful remake and change a lot of things, that's when it's not good.
It couldn't render an entire seamless play space this detailed. But in 2024, the freedom of Metal Gear Solid 5 sprawling maps, which would be perfectly at home retrofitted into Snake Eater's Soviet wilderness, is sorely missing here. I'm reminded of Capcom's Resident Evil 2 remake, which eliminated the original game's iconic door-opening loading screens in favour of a more immersive, completely seamless police station. Without a similar approach, I worry that the overall play experience of MGS Delta won't be significantly different enough from the Snake Eater HD remaster available.
Oh my god, yes it will be different, because that one has some problems with upscaling. But oh my god, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Available as part of last year's Master Collection
I don't
Volume
think
1,
so.
a game with a much lower price point and packaged with 2 other truly excellent games. After playing the demo, I had the chance to talk with Delta's producer, Noriaki Okamura, and I asked why the team didn't opt to bring MGS3's map design up to date. We did debate this internally, he told me. Maybe we should reskin the game into the current open world type map. But after thinking about this, we would definitely have to basically remake the game from scratch, and by doing so it could alter other things about the game, and we decided that that's not the direction we really wanted to take.
Good.
While the play space of the Virtuous mission is exactly what you remember, Konami has made some smart changes that incontestably make Delta more comfortable to play than its parent. The most important is a modernized control scheme that works in tandem with the over-the-shoulder aiming, a feature pulled from the 3DS version of Metal Gear Solid.
That's fine. That's cool, because that's in newer Metal Gears anyways. That's fine, the modern version of that.
This setup is practically revolutionary. The original Snake Eater used inputs that had their roots in the comparatively basic.
You can also go classic. So you have classic and modern controls. That's fine. The best thing you can do. Satisfy both people that want to play this game.
Metal Gear Solid 1, but the increasingly complex and ambitious boss battles demanded a level of fine control that the scheme simply couldn't keep up with. Thankfully, the old, fiddly aim mechanics are now gone, replaced with contemporary trigger-based gun controls that allow for easy, precise headshots. There's nothing in the Virtuous mission that really challenged my marksmanship, but I'm really looking forward to battling the Fury, a boss whose speed and attack patterns were an uncomfortable fit for the original game's clunky controls.
Fury!
I am the Fury.
I am.
The flames of my rage will incinerate you.
Snake Eater now plays much more intuitively. However, I will caveat that by saying it still does feel like a game from a prior generation.
What's the problem with that? Have you seen retro games boost up recently? People love retro games. Retro games are hot right now. Really hot, actually, than most modern games today. I wouldn't be throwing shade on, older games recently. I wouldn't say that.
Snake unfortunately does not move with the fluidity of his MGS5 counterpart. Again, it feels like Konami has missed a clear
Who cares? It's not Metal Gear Solid 5.
opportunity to bring modern enhancements to MGS Delta. Provided the entire game follows suit with this demo, I think your feelings on Delta are going to depend on just how faithful you want this remake to be. If you're a purist, then you're in luck. The new MGS team at Konami clearly sees the original Snake Eater as something of a religious text. But it means Delta's creative vision is held prisoner by the early 2000s.
What? This guy.
Even the cutscenes feature the same fade to black loading between scenes as the original. Surely something cinephile Kojima would have exercised if only he'd had access to SSDs back in the day. Beyond the updated graphics and controls, there's nothing surprising, refreshing, or dare I say exciting about MGS.
Nothing excited because Snake is not romancing Ocelot or something, right?
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
It's not clear if this omission is simply because the demo is not pulled from the final version of the game, but such a famous Kojimaism being missing from the first press showing of Delta did raise a concerned eyebrow. Hopefully it makes it into the full release. Okamura told me that he wanted to avoid a situation where the series will be forgotten in time, and that the goal of Delta was to make sure we deliver the game as faithfully as possible so it doesn't take away from the nostalgic aspect. That's a noble goal, but I can't help but feel that was the job of the Master Collection. I had hoped
Is what people think about when they want a remake. This is what people think about. They don't think about changing the storyline, changing plot elements, changing characters, how they interact. Just completely different than what it was. You know, taking stuff out, censoring things. People don't like that at all. You want to be truthful, faithful. You do it as is. This is what fans want. Why is this a problem?
The team upgrade and enhance Snake Eater with ideas from the Phantom Pain and beyond, offering the same story and objectives, but in a more modern, more flexible, and more reactive stealth hunting ground. That could have made it the remake to topple Resident Evil 2 from its perch. Instead, Metal Gear Solid Delta is shaping up to be little.
How do you know that this is not going to beat Resident Evil 2? Probably it won't, but because of Konami's track record. But this could be pretty good. This could be pretty good. It could be up there.
More than a prettier, more intuitive version of 2004's most essential stealth game.
Look at these comments. Update game. No, they changed it. Keep it the same. No, it's identical. Always bitching. What are you talking about? This guy, man. Yeah, so corny. How mad they made the remake faithful. Goofy activists. And again, just like the Silent Hill 2 remake, you guys are complaining that a Kojima-less Metal Gear Solid remake is too faithful. Yup. If IGN complains, the players can be excited. Yup. It's like critics on Rotten Tomatoes. When critics say this movie is good, it means actually it sucks. If the critics don't like a movie, then it's actually a good movie. That's what's going on here. They're getting paid off, bought, and to say what they have to say, you know, they have to play the game. Don't play the game, you won't get that early access. So this is the way they have to do it. This remake of a cult classic stays faithful to the original while making improvements to the outdated controls. 0 out of 10 IGN. And they give like what? Dustborn gets like a 7 in Concord and stuff. Like 7 means like in IGN, it means like it's really low. No, it was Star Wars Outlaws, my bad, which means a 5 or a 4 to IGN. They just don't want to be mean because that game is not doing so well. How about you get a real MGS fan to review this game? If it ain't broke, do not fix it. Thank you. Every complaint about the video is another selling point. For once, we actually getting a remake instead of a reimagining. Hell yeah. And that's what's going on here, guys. That is what's going on here. What do you guys think overall about this whole Metal Gear Solid 3 and like journalist access media to get free stuff, you know, get all these reviews quickly out, but not having their own faithful review or the faithful showing, you know? What do you think about that whole thing, guys? Let me know in the comment below. If you like this video, I thank you so much for watching this long. And if you didn't like this video, I still thank you so much for watching it this long. Until the next time, guys, I'll see you then. Have a good one, all.